Okay, everybody, thanks for coming back to the story of a somebody. And I have my next guest with me, Gessika Lynn, and we're going to talk to her about her story today. Go ahead. Start it off, lady.
Oh, where would you like me to start?
Tell me, yeah. Tell me, like, how you grew up, your parents, and I mean, did you have a difficult childhood?
I did,
okay,
yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so my mom's originally from Hazard, Kentucky.
Okay.
Obviously, very poverty stricken down there, family of six. They moved up to Marion, Indiana, which is about an hour north of Indianapolis, when she was about, I want to say 3, 4. So about 1963, 1964. They moved up to literally a 2-room house. Lived on Indian Hill Road. I've seen the house myself physically. It's very poor. And then eventually my grandfather got a job at GM Motors down there in Marion. He was there for 38 years, retired. Yep. Nice pension. Grandma obviously never worked. They ended up getting they were called Breaker Heights kids. That was the name of the neighborhood that they grew up in. So all the kids in there were like the Breaker Heights kids.
Gotcha.
So it was very small. They still own the house. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, super tiny, World War II era type home. You know what I mean? Raised 2 boys, 2 girls in there. My uncles Anthony Allen and my aunt Debbie and my mother. And then obviously when they all turned 18, get out the house, go get a job, go get your own place, done taking care of you. So my maternal grandmother, my mom's mom, she never was she didn't really treat my mom, I guess, well. My uncle Alan, they spoiled because he has like cognitive delays. He kind of seems like he's on the autism spectrum, but nobody really knows for sure. So he kind of always got babied, and he was literally the baby. So they pretty much at his beck and call did everything. Same thing with my cousin Madison, who is his son.
So your mom not only got treated bad, but put on the back burner.
Pretty much, yep. And then in return, obviously growing up, I got treated the same way by my mom. Now my dad, on the other hand, he's the middle child. It goes my Uncle Craig, my dad, and my aunt Lisa, which she passed due to COVID back January 2020. And his parents divorced when I would want to say he was 4 or 5. My grandmother Phyllis never remarried because all men were shit. Pardon, there's probably gonna be a lot of cussing in this, but
no editing that.
And I remember growing up all the time in middle school, high school, men are shit. You don't date. You don't do this. You don't do that. Men are shit. They will cheat on you. She ended up, her best friend Margaret was sleeping with my grandfather. They got pregnant with my Aunt Angel. And so, yeah, so they pretty much hightailed it to Texas, lived out the rest of their lives. All of them are actually dead now. I only have one grandparent left, and that's my mom's dad. And he moved back to Kentucky and lives with my Aunt Debbie, so she helps take care of him. He's a Baptist preacher.
Your dad?
No, my grandfather.
Oh, your grandfather.
If my dad was, girl, I would have emancipated myself at 15. Nope.
I thought we were talking about your dad.
Yeah, no, but it like I said, I kind of ADHD, I bounce around a lot. But my grandma raised all 3 kids by herself with the help of my great grandmother, Mary, and her husband, but he died in 1979. My grandma was the firstborn of my great grandmother Mary, and she had 3 sons after that. Have you ever heard of the rhesus factor? When it comes to blood, so if you are,
I don't know.
So if the mother is, say, Rh negative, you have a negative blood type. Your husband has a positive blood type. That baby's gonna come out positive. The first baby will be born fine. But all the other babies are gonna be born with intellectual disabilities.
That's a link to that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why if you ever are of a negative blood type and your husband's positive, you have to have transfusions. You have to have shots and stuff to prevent that baby from developing it. So all 3 of my grandmas had it. Of varying degrees. My grandpa Gary was the only one living that I remember. He died when I was 12 and everything. But basically I grew up, they had no real way to explain it. He was my own retarded. I know when people don't like using the R word. I don't, growing up that's what we were told. But we don't use it now. No, he just intellectually disabled due to the rhesus factors. So
I did not know that. I need to do my homework.
I'm telling you, hey, call the midwife. They feature that on an episode actually.
Do they?
Yes, I'm so sure.
Let me go back to your mom. So, you think your mom treated you badly? Like, did she yell at you? Did she physically abuse you? Like,
So
was she strict? I mean,
with my mom, it was emotional, mental, and verbal abuse. And I guess you could define it as physical as well, because when I was in the 6th grade, I did a lot of sports at the age of 4. Soccer, softball, swimming, taekwondo. I did motocross. I did roller skating, you name it, I did it. And she was rail thin when we were, obviously when she got married to my dad and was growing up. And she for whatever reason fell into the whole Herbalife MLM tech prep, right? Mind you, this is like 1999, 2000 when it was really coming to market. And she was just like, I don't want you to get fat. I wasn't fat. I was bones practically, and I was all muscle. Like
you're athletic.
Yeah, because I'm extremely athletic. And starting 6th grade, starting middle school, she lied to the school, told them I had extreme food allergies. Don't feed her anything. She only can have rice in school with her. What was that? The chocolate Herbalife. Great. That's all I was allowed to eat for lunch. For breakfast, it was the New Mayo Clinic diet. And I remember it clear as day. 2 egg whites, no yolk, because it had a lot of fat, 2 strips of bacon, half a cup of grapefruit juice, and that was it. That was your breakfast. It eventually got to the point where I didn't even have that. It was an Herbalife shake. And then it got to the point where no breakfast, no shake for breakfast.
That's bad.
I had the shake at lunch. I would come home, I wasn't allowed to have anything for dinner. So I would go to practices, and then it got to
no energy.
Yep. And then it got to the point where my body by 7th grade rolled around started to eat itself. And I started to have like the distended stomach and everything. And the hospital was like, look, we could report you to DCFS, but we're not going to, because
she's hurting you.
Yeah. But I mean, Goshen Hospital, which don't ever take your freaking kids there, is a crock of shit and everything. And yeah, they let my mom go. And so ever since then, I have extreme like gastrointestinal issues. I have strictures in my abdomen and everything from it. And granted, yes, I know I am big now, but that's because I broke my back when I was 15. So I have 5 herniated ruptured discs and all the vertebrae in between are fracturing and everything. So obviously becoming immobilized and stuff, not doing all those sports and everything, I ended up packing on weight. And so, yeah.
You have an eating disorder now? Are you like, does it still stick with you? Like
it still does, because there's times where I will eat and my body will just automatically, I will throw it up. And I was never bulimic or anything. That's the weird thing. It's something called like automated bulimia. So it's like your body just gets so, like, if there's too much stress, and I'm so stressed out and everything, basically if I eat, like it just actually happened last night, we had air fried like naked chicken tenders with some waffle fries, and I ate it, and it wasn't even 10 minutes later I threw it back up. And it happens. There's times where I'll drink water, maybe pop throughout the day, and I won't physically eat anything, and I can do that for a couple days at a time. So it's really weird. So it goes back and forth. Yeah. Believe me, it sucks. My abdomen constantly killing me, my back's constantly killing me because of it, everything. Because it's all good.
So really, I just want to go back to your mom real quick. I know, you know, but she really didn't break the cycle. You know, she just, that happened to me too with me and my kids, and I'm not trying to make it about me, but my kids had a tough life with me.
Yeah.
But okay, people, I'm talking to Gessika about her life story, but there's more to it. Gessika didn't reveal it, but she was on an episode of Snapped, which airs on Oxygen, from a story that happened in 2005 in our hometown, Middlebury, Indiana. I don't know if any of you saw that episode or remember it, but it was the story of Barbara Kime, who was murdered by her daughter and the boyfriend, and they stole money from her, and her mom didn't like her being with her boyfriend, and they killed her. So Gessika's are you still friends with her?
I have not talked to her in almost a decade.
So Gessika was her best friend in school, and she was on Snapped for that. So we're going to be talking about that. So let's get into this. What year did you meet Hannah?
I met Hannah sophomore year when she moved to our school district. And Aaron McDonald, who was also involved in the murder, he grew up in Yorkshire and Pine Hills. Yeah. Yep.
Small world.
Yep. Small world, small town. But he grew up over there. He knew Ricky and Tyler Spiker really well, who also Pine Hills. I was friends with tons of kids that lived in Pine Hills, Yorkshire. Trailer park that was across the street from the sewage plant there in Middlebury, that one. Because me living in Dock States and everything, growing up there, yeah, sure we're called middle class, but I had a lot of friends that were very, lived in the trailer parks. I didn't care. They were honestly the most best friends you could have asked for. They're the ones who kept it real. The hell with Highland Hills kids, okay? I'm just saying.
Little rich.
Yeah, little elitist. We don't like that. But no, I knew Aaron God since 6th grade. Great kid, class clown, super hilarious. If you were ever having like a super bad, emotional, depressed day, that kid would. But he didn't care if it got a 3-day ISS. He did not care. But Hannah, when she came to Northridge, she was very shy and backwards. I introduced Aaron to Hannah because I was like, hey, you want somebody to make you laugh? Aaron is your guy. I was like, he will, and they did. They became like that after she moved.
So were you guys like, you took to her instantly, like you helped her around the school type thing? Or?
Yeah, yep. I helped her around the school. She wasn't in a lot of my classes. She was in a couple, I'd want to say. But we had like a lot of similar interests in like musical artists like Marilyn Manson, Rob Zombie, like being the death metal all emo kid and stuff. She blended into our group really well, our friend group. So everybody just took her in under her wing and stuff. And like they were going through some stuff. Her family was. Her mom was living separate from her stepdad, which was her younger brother's biological father.
Okay.
And he was a sheriff for the Upper County Sheriff's Department. A little stern, I heard from Hannah, but there's always two sides to every story. But her mom, Barb, being a labor and delivery nurse at Elkhart General, sweetest could be. Like super, like I called her mom. And super nice lady. And she came over because we had a swimming pool and everything. Obviously, they lived in these apartments in Mowbray that didn't have anything like that. So all summer long after our sophomore year, they were there all the time. Her and her little brother swimming.
Gotcha.
And everything. So they were, like I said, constantly at our house. Her mom was constantly over there when she wasn't working, hanging out with my mom. Yeah. My dad would be grilling for everybody and everything.
Times like that.
Oh, I'm telling you, man, it was
like that.
Back in the 2000s. Before, MySpace was just becoming a thing, and even, it was different. I liked it. I miss it, honestly.
Me too. The whole thing, I was at my friend's house all the time with parents and best friends with whoever,
Yep.
Wish I was a kid again.
Same.
I traded all for it to be a kid.
Yeah, please, for the love of God, just send me back to 2002, man.
So how long before the incident happened? Like, how long was Hannah there before this stuff took place?
So, junior year, she got with Spencer Criffins. Obviously, he's the guy who shot and killed her mom.
Was he a student too?
No, okay. He was at Goshen. Okay. And he actually had dropped out, and he was older than us by, I want to say, a year or two, something like that. He was the go-to guy that everybody knew that he sold drugs, stuff like that, is what it is.
So she was attracted to like the bad boy thing.
She was. Yeah. And she was also featured in an episode, the very first one actually, for Women in Prison. And we had a watch party at my parents' house, which is comical because everybody knew we're going to Jessica's house, so everybody that was friends with Hannah that knew Hannah and Aaron, we all piled in my parents' house. There had been 30, 40 of us in that house. Wow. The tiny little, 3-bedroom, two bath, double wide, it's on a crawl space with 2-car attached garage, whatever. But, like I said, nice blue collar neighborhood. We were all dog piled in there watching that. And it appalled us that when she sat there and she was like, everybody knew me as the preacher's daughter. And we were all just like, Like, I didn't even know her biological dad was a preacher to the day of her mom's funeral.
Oh, wow.
Dude, didn't
She
nobody.
made it up. Or...
Yeah, I was like, girl, don't put yourself a victim in this. Not one person knew you were a preacher's daughter. Bullshit. Pardon my language, but
so
no.
basically, she didn't show any remorse.
Nope, and it pissed everybody off in our friend group. Everybody off.
What year was that?
God, Women in Prison came out 2012, 2014, somewhere around there. And I remember because they had profiled it on WNDU, they were like, "Oh, 2 local Northern Indiana women are going to be featured on it." So obviously we all watched it and stuff, and that pissed a lot of us off. So, like I said, when the producers from Snap reached out to me, we're like, "Hey, we want to talk to somebody who actually knew Hannah, actually knew Barb." And I asked a lot of my friends, I was like, "Hey, dude, they're like, they're gonna fly us to Knoxville, film us, put us up in a hotel, give us a rental car, money for food, all this other stuff and everything to go down there." Nobody wanted to do it because they just didn't want to be associated with it. A lot of them were ashamed of it and stuff. Am I ashamed of the fact that I'm somebody that knew somebody that killed somebody? Yeah, I am ashamed of it. I was actually crying about it last night to my boyfriend. Did
she ever try to get you involved in the murder or ask for help or anything like that? I mean, were you just lucky enough not to be there when it happened? I mean,
what had happened is the junior year, we got her to break up with Spencer. Obviously, we go to junior prom together with another mutual guy friend of ours. He kind of escorted the both of us there. And she was really turning it around. Her grades were improving, all this other stuff. And obviously summer break hits. I'm working at Martin Supermarket over for Concord, the old one by the mall, before they tore it down. And so she was working at McDonald's there in Middlebury and Dairy Queen, so she was kind of flip-flopping between the two. So, we're 17, we've all got our own lives going on, we're all working, doing the stuff. I'm obviously still doing soccer and softball and all this other freaking crap. And we were hanging out less and less that summer because of just everything going on. We went swimming together a couple times and stuff. And she was actually supposed to go to Cedar Point with us the weekend right after the murder. So she was supposed to go with my family. And so what had happened is they murdered her mom on a Thursday. That Wednesday, I had taken my dad's truck down to the car wash. I watched it. I swung by Crider View Gardens, which is the apartment complex I lived in. I went knocked on her door. She opened the door just wide enough for her face and her body. You could smell marijuana coming from the apartment. I don't smoke, never have. All my friends did though, so didn't faze me any. And so I understand why she she was like, "Oh, hey, Jess, what are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Hey," I was like, "You weren't answering my text messages back. Are you still down for going to Cedar Point this Saturday?" Oh man, I forget to call out, take time off for work. I'm like, McDonald's, man, just calling sick. Ain't no look, I miss you. I was like, come on, dude, it's your point. And she was very hesitant and you could tell her body language, she was very tense.
You don't want you to know Spencer was there.
Yeah, and I was just like, and I was just like, well, dude, come on. And I was trying everything in my power to convince her. And then she just all of a sudden was like to the side movement. She goes, "Hey, do you want to come in?" And I'm like, I had this voice in the back of my head saying, "Don't, you've got your dad's truck, you need to get it back," everything else, because my dad's an asshole and everything. And so I was like, dude, I literally just washed my dad's truck. I probably should honestly be getting it back and everything. And I was just like, and then she just had this really solemn look on her face. She was like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude." I was like, "Sorry." I was like, "Maybe we can hang out tomorrow or something before I go to Cedar Point." "Yeah, okay." And I was like, "Okay." And so as I'm backing out, because it was a dead end of a breezeway, and as I'm backing up, there's a long hallway because it's an enclosed breezeway. Her mom parked in the back and was walking through. And I saw her mom. I was like, "Oh, hi, Mom." Hannah goes, "Oh, fuck," shuts that door. I was just like, and she was like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "I was just asking Hannah if she's still going to Cedar Point with us on Saturday." And she's going through her bag, in her kitchen. She goes, "Hannah's in the apartment." And I was like, "Why wouldn't she be?" Like, because you
don't know what's going on.
you don't know what's going on. She goes, I told Hannah she was going to be with Spencer. She couldn't stay in the apartment. She can't stay with me. And apparently she had been living out in the van in the parking lot of the apartment complex. I was like, oh. She was like, don't worry, I'll deal with it. And I was like, okay, well, I was like, I'll see you later. She was like, yeah, I'll see you later too. I was like, she was like, you take care of yourself, hon. And I was like, okay. I was like, I will. I was like, I'll see you around. She was like, okay. And as I walked out the door to where my dad's truck was parked, Spencer was running around the apartment complex out of that sliding glass door back over to where that van was because he wasn't supposed to be inside there. Yeah. Neither was she. And so I remember I stepped halfway out and I could hear Barb and Hannah like yelling. Arguing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was pretty loud. And that very next day is when Barb came home from work. They hogtied her, kidnapped her, robbed her, shot and killed her. And the messed up thing is I found out after we contacted Curtis Hill, the prosecuting attorney's office, because my dad, after we found out everything, was like, you need to tell him everything that happened the day prior, because maybe there was something there. Mm-hmm. And so we were talking to Curtis Hill, and actually, they were going to kill her that day, that I was there. Oh. But because I showed up unannounced, I interrupted it. Plan. I did. I delayed her. Yeah, I delayed her death by a day. Yeah. That was it. It's fucked with me ever since because see, she got kidnapped that Thursday, and obviously I was working Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday we were gone to Cedar Point. We came home Sunday, and I remember my dad going, "Hey, do you have to go to school with somebody with last name with Kime?" And it was like on Sunday night, and I was like, Matt Kime, he's in my grade. Why? No, it's a girl. I was like, if he has a sister, I wouldn't know about it. I was like, I don't know of Matt. He's going in my grade. I was like, why? He goes, well, they found some woman's body today, and they said her child killed her. I was like, well, shit. They said she was 17, and I was like, damn. You definitely wasn't suspecting your child. Yeah, no, and it was like the 11:30 or 11 o'clock news at night, and my dad told me, and I was like, huh. And I remember I had like one of those 3-piece, like big boomer stereos with the 3 CD thing, yeah. And I was staring at the clock, and I remember I fell asleep, and I woke up to my dad barely in my room. It was 5:36 a.m. My dad's like, oh my fucking God, Hannah killed her mom. And I flew out of my bed and I was like, fucking what? And I ran out there, and right there on the big screen was her sophomore year photo that they had up there. And I dropped to the floor. And then they had Spencer's picture, and then they had Aaron's picture. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And I almost didn't want to even like go into work. So like I called my boss and I told him, hey, well, my mom didn't know that they had gotten caught, and my mom worked at Homecrest at the time. So they listened to Froggy 102.7, and it came over that 43-year-old Barbara Kime was found dead in a cornfield south of Napanee Sunday afternoon, blah, blah, blah. Aaron, they're like Middlebury resident Aaron McDonald led them to the discovery of her body, and her daughter, 17-year-old Hannah Stone. So when my mom heard her name and everything, my mom didn't realize that they had already been arrested. They got arrested Sunday night. Mm-hmm. She told her boss, Angie, she was like, oh my fucking God, what if Hannah's like at my house with Jessica and because she's like within walking distance and stuff, and she was like, what if she's there and she's gonna hurt Jessica? And Angie and all her coworkers were like, go, get the fuck out of here. And my mom comes like barreling all the way home from Goshen to Middlebury. And I remember she come busting into the freaking door, and my mom was just sobbing, and she goes, why the fuck would she do that? And I did not know.
As a teenager, I don't know about you, but I rebelled a lot. Like, mm-hmm. My parents don't know shit. Fuck mm-hmm. them, Mm-hmm. And she was probably like the same way. I'm breaking up with my boyfriend, And she was. She doesn't give a fuck.
Because he talked
her into it.
Yeah, because literally the Saturday prior to the murder was the very last day of the Elkhart County Fair. And they always have that damn teen dance in the pig barn, mm-hmm. in the showing arena. And I obviously there was none of my friends that are showing, and as I was leaving the Elkhart County Fairgrounds, she showed up with Spencer. And I was like, hey, what are you know, and so much and blah. And you could tell she was like under the influence of something, and it wasn't just like weed. And then he like leaned into me and goes, do you want a cigarette? I was like, no, dude, I don't smoke. I've got asthma. And he takes like this long draw off one. He goes, why, we're all gonna fucking die one day. And I'm like,
Jesus.
Like, you remind me of like the emo goth kids on South Park, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, okay, you know, whatever, bro. Like, yeah. And then literally, what was it, 5-6 days later, they shot and killed her mom.
Did you ever get any counseling?
Yeah, I've been seeing a psychiatrist. Like, I started seeing a counselor, and they said I have complex PTSD, but that was originally stemming from the abuse, the physical or the mental emotional abuse of my mother, the physical abuse of my dad. My mom's uncle essayed me in the basement of my grandfather's church when I was 6. They never got me counseling for that. So, and then the shit with Hannah was just honestly kind of the tipping point, because I wasn't sure, like, and I was one of those people where I could be friends with literally anybody. I was so scared to befriend people, because what if this person goes and plans to murder somebody else? You know, what if I get implicated in on it, even though I didn't do anything? You know, like I was so scared. And then like the reason why I started having this group counseling my senior year, obviously this happened right before senior year started. There was a group of incoming freshmen dressed as Aaron, Hannah, and Spencer, or jumpsuits, had their names on them, and I beat the fucking brakes off the chick who dressed like Hannah. And I was not a violent person at all, and I just beat the shit out of her. And then I blacked out, and then they said I was like screaming, and then basically I went into like a catatonic state, and they were like, she needs help. So I saw a group therapy, and then when I went to college, South Shore train I was on, hit and killed 2 women. I saw their bodies. So sorry. Yeah, no, you're all good. And so I just need counseling for that, because I woke up in the middle of the night and there was holes in the wall, and my college roommate was like, dude, you were like screaming and punching the wall. And so in my sleep. So like night terrors. And I still do. Like and it's an ever evolving door of shit, because now it's like I have night terrors. And after I had my daughter 6 years ago, I have like postpartum psychosis, which a lot of people don't talk about, and I still experience symptoms to this day. She just turned 6 years old. I still see hallucinations on occasion. Like the latest one was a Rome Michelle gypsy woman was hanging outside of my bedroom window, just bright red eyes, man. And then there was blood pouring down the walls from the seams, and then there was like Hebrew being written down the walls. Don't ask me why. It's all part of the psychosis, and there's nothing they can do to really treat it. And I'm on medication for it. And
something that's not talked about a lot.
No, it's not. And
mental health too, you know.
Yep, that's why I wear this bracelet all the time.
I was wondering if you're still suffering from.
Yep, it says it's okay not to be okay. Have hope. Yeah, I have this bracelet. I have a whole slew of them, so I give them to people that are struggling with mental health issues. Like my brother, he's bipolar schizophrenic. I have bipolar type 1, type 2. I have complex PTSD. I have postpartum depression and psychosis, so I have both. Back to the big leagues over here. So, you know, I see psychiatrists, because obviously a counselor, God bless your heart, you tried, but it's not going to work. And then obviously medication, I've been on antipsychotics like Vraylar. I've been on, you name it, I've been on it. I've made a couple of attempts in my life, but they were just really high stress moments. I never, and the misunderstanding with postpartum psychosis, a lot of times, sorry, pointing the whole hand of stone thing.
No, you're okay. I want to know about you too.
Yeah, but the whole thing with the whole postpartum psychosis, that and people feel it's like such like a taboo subject. that shit. Because if me telling my story is going to help a woman get the help she needs, and significant others and mother-in-laws and father-in-laws and brother and sister-in-laws and even your own biological family need to fucking pay attention to women when they have goddamn children. I knew something was wrong after I had my daughter because I had had numerous miscarriages leading up to having my daughter. After I had her, all of a sudden it was like not me harming her, but other things happening to her that was out of my control that I can't protect her. So like the first thing that happened was I went back to work, obviously after my 6 weeks. I had a full-blown hallucination that I saw my plant manager and 2 Indiana State Troopers walked into me. And I turned around and they told me that my daughter and boyfriend died in a house fire. And then it was a horrific car crash where she was decapitated. And then there was, I would have night terrors where a girl that I had known since 6th grade that I was really super tight friends with, she was babysitting my daughter after I went back to work. I started having night terrors that her and her boyfriend were sexually abusing my daughter. And so it led to, I took her to the hospital to make sure she was fine because she got a UTI and she had a little bitty pink spot in her diaper, and I was that they were sexually abusing her, and because that happened to me, so I was not okay, and I told my general practitioner, I said, hey, something is wrong with me, and so she said, well, here's the thing, you definitely have this psychosis, but if I give you that diagnosis, I have to report it to CAPS, I have to report it to DCFS, and I have to report it to OPON. And she was like, I don't want them to append your life. She was like, your daughter is thriving. You guys care for her. She's clean. She's beautiful. She was amazing. And she did me a favor by not giving, because she said in a lot of cases like that, especially here in Elkhart County, they'll snatch that fucking baby from me so goddamn quick. And my boyfriend, I didn't tell him I was having these issues. And the reason why is because, and he's still, I wouldn't say mad, he's more upset at the fact that I felt like I couldn't trust him by telling him what was going on, because I have seen it happen to my friends where they were struggling mentally, the baby daddies or the baby daddies' moms take them fucking kids. Oh, she's psychotic. She's got issues. Yeah. I can do a better job with the baby, because they pretty much emotionally incestuous with their own fucking sons, wanting to raise their sons' kids and everything, and it's a whole thing. And I told my boyfriend, I'm sorry I didn't trust you. I don't trust anybody when it comes to my kid. I don't trust, I trust myself, but and that's why I told him I confided in my doctor, because that's what you're supposed to do. He goes, but you could, and we've been together going on 8 years in April. He was like, you need to learn to trust me. I have been abused by 2 ex-boyfriends. I was raped by a guy I went on my very first date with when I was 19. So I have a very strong distrust in sorry. So it's to be cheated on in every relationship, to be, raped by a guy when you're 19.
Taken advantage of.
Yeah, and and it's just like men in Michiana, am I right? I mean, they're absolute hot garbage. I mean, I can't say much. A lot of the women are, unfortunately, a lot of them are my friends, we're the same damn way, but still, it's just like, it's a lot.
I like your personality. I think you're pretty great.
And that's what everyone said. They're like, man, for such shit, you got a great personality. And I'm like, I know, because mentally, I'm dead inside. So and I've had friends tell me, they're like, oh, gee, you should be stand-up comedy. I'm like, no, because I'll get up there and I'll be like stuttering Stanley. I'll be like, I believe that's all hoax, because I ain't got shit to say. I will get up there and be like, I got cut off real bad, man.
Maybe you're just one of them people that laugh through the pain.
I do. I do it all the time. That's my psychiatrist told me that coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Because I go to the hospital because obviously cardiac issues, broken back. I have to have my right knee replaced, my right hip replaced. I have to joke about it, because if I don't joke about it and I just dwell on it, And ain't gonna make my mental health shit any fucking better. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
And I remember telling, like, the last guy was just there. He was doing an X-ray on me, and I have an implant in my chest for my heart. And he sits there and he's taking the chest X-ray, and he goes, "Do you have something in your chest?" And I was like, and he sat there, and I was like, "Aside from these, no. Am I supposed to?" It's like, so and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. I forgot to tell you, I got real hungry earlier and I ate a Lego brick." He just kind of looked at me. I was like, "Dude, I'm fucking with you." And I was like, "It's a cardiac loop monitor that surgical place my chest." He just starts dying laughing. And he goes, "Have they given you anything for the pain yet?" And I'm like, "No, why?" He was like, "So you're just naturally this funny." And I'm like, I try to be. I was like, I'm not the prettiest flower in the bed, so I try to have a grade A fucking comedic personality. And he was like, "No, you're good." And he was just sitting there, and he was just, I have this X-ray tech just dying laughing at Elgar Journal. And he sits there, and he was just like, "Man, whoever you marry." And I'm like, that. I've been with this man almost 8 years. Do you see him? And then I was sitting there, and I was just like, "You can go march your ass to my house and ask him why the hell he still hasn't asked me to marry him yet." He was like, "Well, he needs to get on it because, dude, you're freaking hilarious." And I'm like, "I know." And I had shit when I started dating him. They were like, "Not good looking." I was like, "Is that got a great personality,
You
bro?"
got a great personality.
Duh. I was like, "I may not be super shit, but I'm funny as fuck." And so they were just, yeah. So I mean, and thank God for him. The dude was 130 pounds soaking wet. Okay, well, I'm telling you what, like when I posted, and he's still fine as hell. But it's just so funny because he was a senior when I was a freshman, and we both went to Northridge.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was just so because when I posted a photo of his senior photo, my friends were like just spilling over each other. Damn! And I'm like, and like, I don't know if he's hotter then or if he's hotter now. Like I'm sitting like, don't need to quit inflating this man's fucking ego, bro. I am telling you what, because
My boyfriend.
and that, but I trust him because he's the only one who's not ever treating me like shit, hasn't cheated on me and everything. Because I got a couple friends that one guy in particular I was dating, had one of my close friends at the time had her number, and I guess he was sexting her, and she was like trying to go to sleep, and he wouldn't leave her alone. So instead of like, oh, I don't know, doing the smart thing and turning off the fucking phone, she sexted the dude back. And our friendship has never been the same since. Like, and it sucks because her son's like my godson.
Mhm.
I haven't been to any of his birthdays since he was like 6 or 7. She stopped inviting me, and I was like, I mean, it is what it is, but that trust was broken.
Yeah.
And everything because she was like, oh, like after we broke up, she decided to tell me that. "Oh, I'm just so sorry, but he was like sexting me and he wouldn't leave me alone and he was keeping me up and he was like,
Why did she tell you?
Text him back. Mind you, this is like 2008, so this is before when camera phones were really starting to become like a thing. And it's just like, and she was sorry. Well, I was on you. She got fucking gonorrhea. So I mean, the same day she told me was the same day she told me she got that, and I was just like, karma. And the universe does work in mysterious ways.
It sure does. How many kids do you have?
Just one.
Just one.
I had 5 miscarriages, totaling 6 babies. So
Oh my God.
when I was actually, so I was a virgin until I was 19. And obviously I was raped. I conceived twins because of that rape. I didn't know I was even pregnant until I was like 17 weeks. And because I have endometriosis and polycystic ovarian syndrome, my periods are always, hit and miss. I worked in the factory. I was busting my ass, so I wasn't gaining any weight. I was just kind of plateaued, staying the same. And then I remember I had this real awful backache. I was like, man, whatever. And then I had to go in for my annual. And I go in there and they're like, you gotta do the urine and blah blah blah. And she goes to do my pap smear and then she just kind of picks her head up and just go, do you know you're pregnant? Like, the fuck you mean? Do I know I'm pregnant? No. She goes, you're like, because I guess there's a way that they can tell when you're down there because it's like, I don't know, something about the cervix or something. Yeah. I have no idea, but she explained it to me. And sure enough, they went and did it, and I was 17 weeks with twin girls. And I was just like, and when they did the dates going back, I was at this party, and a friend of mine introduced me to this guy, and I knew his cousin because it was his cousin and his uncle's house over in South Bend. But the dude that had sexually assaulted me lived in Niles, and I remember he gave me, it was a Crown Royal and Coke, and they were like, "Oh, my child!" So I, slammed it back, and I remember that was the one and only drink I had that night. And it got to the point where I couldn't even I was sitting there to go get a bottle, and I'm like,
so you spiked your drink.
Yeah, I spiked my drink, and I couldn't open my pop, and then I felt sick. So I go to the bathroom, and his cousin was like, "Hey, I'm gonna lock you in my room so nobody fucks with you," because our friend group was a group that'll ride all over your face, you get to take your shoes off, no crap like that. And I remember throwing up, and I remember the guy who raped me. I thought he was holding my hair. He was sexually assaulting me as I was talking, and then I blacked out from it.
What a piece of shit.
So I had no idea that it happened, and then obviously they put the dates together, and then I told my OBGYN about it, and she was like, "Well, I think we need to contact the police." I'm like, "Well, who do I get a hold of?" Because the dude lives in Niles, but the sexual assault happened in South Bend. Neither one would do anything. They never got charged for it. So I was gonna put the girls up for adoption, and then when I was 25 weeks and 6 days, actually 25.5, I fell on a skid of wood flat on my abdomen because I worked at Home Press too, where my mom was working at. Went to Goshen Hospital. They said everything was fine. Babies were okay. I was like, okay, I woke up next morning and I was in a pool of blood. I suffered a placenta rupture. I almost wrecked myself. So they were gone by the time I woke up, and I had to deliver them. Did DNC, did all the.
It's gotta be the worst, delivering dead babies.
Yeah, and I had actually had a pretty quick placement because there was a gay couple out of Granger that was looking for a baby to adopt, and I'm like, "Here, fucking have them. I don't want none of it." So they actually paid for the cremation and everything, and because obviously I was 19, I couldn't afford that, and I was just like, I don't want them to have the pauper's grave type deal, because they are babies, and so yeah, so they're buried over in Chapel Hill Cemetery over there in Osceola. So they're buried in there, and I don't know where they're interred because I got a blood transfusion and everything. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
And then
for a reason.
Yep. And then I had, between them and my daughter, I had 4 more miscarriages. All were well within the first trimester, maybe not even exceeding 10 weeks. 2 of them I didn't even know I was pregnant until I just thought I was again having a really bad, painful period because of the endo on the PCOS, and nope, it was definitely a miscarriage. So I'd go to the hospital, they would do the test on me, be like, "Yep," made sure everything cleared out and stuff, and it just spontaneous, abortions is all it was, just miscarriages and stuff. And God forbid if it was a whole Handmaid's Tale type shit, they would already fucking stoned me 5 times to death, you know what I mean? Because no, I didn't. And then for whatever reason, I joked with my boyfriend. We were together, April, sorry, 8 months. Lost my job of a year, 2 weeks shy of a year actually. And obviously with that, I lost my health insurance. And of course my season 8 birth control ran. And I was just like, man, we gotta be real careful, my guy. New Year's Eve, dude, and out the gate. And I was just like, my birthday's February 3rd. And it was so funny because we were all going out, and I was like, I was like, my dog and my cat would not leave me alone. And then I would go to my house where the little dog was because we didn't want to separate her from my mom. And Jazzy was right on my abdomen. I'm like, my stomach, what's going on? Yeah. And I was like, this sounds like a mean joke, but I think I'll take a pregnancy test and I'll just wrap it up and give it to my mom because her birthday's February 20th. My brother's is the 8th. So I was sitting there and I was just like, and they're like, took that pregnancy test right before we went out for my birthday. I was turning 28, and I was finished getting ready and stuff. And I was like, oh, pregnancy test, I wonder if it's pregnant. Boyfriend walks in, I throw that thing right in the towel thing, I slam the door, and he goes, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "What stuff?" I was crying, and I was freaking out. I just wanted to make sure that everything was okay. So, went to that Women's Care Center, which, by the way, pro-life, FYI. So if you even mention the term abortion or anything like that, they're gonna hold you there.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. And that's, yeah, I had a pregnancy scare after I had my daughter, and I told them, because medically I have postpartum heart failure. Medically, I cannot have another child, but they wouldn't give me a hysterectomy because I'm not 35 or I'm not married. And I don't have 2 children yet. Even though I have a medical condition, they told me if I had another kid, it would kill me.
And they still won't do nothing.
And they still won't do nothing. And I'm, guess what? I'm gonna be 35 here in less than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So let's get it on the road. You know what I mean? But yeah, when I had a pregnancy scare, and they were like, "Well, what if it's pregnant?" I was like, "I'm gonna get it aborted. I can't and leave my daughter without a mom." And they did. They kept me there for almost 2.5 hours trying to convince me not to get an abortion. And the whole time they didn't tell me the results of the test, which, by the way, yeah, they're very, very, and that Rita for Life obviously is another pro-life ones. Yeah, they will do everything in their power to convince me. I'm very pro-choice.
I'm pro-choice too.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we can get into this whole abortion thing.
Yep.
I don't believe that you should be terminating a baby when you're in your 3rd trimester. You're really killing a human being. But I mean, I think it's okay if you're in your 1st trimester. I mean, not everybody's cut out to be a parent, for one. For two, it's expensive to raise kids. I mean, you make a mistake, you lay down, you had sex, and you got a baby that you didn't want. Get rid of it.
It happens, you know. So, I got a friend of mine that she was with a really abusive guy. Got that baby aborted, and then she had 3 beautiful children since. Yeah. So I mean, it just wasn't meant to be for that first one. Exactly. Because like I said, he was so psychotic. He literally chased her from here to Texas. I'm telling you, she did not need to be linked to that man with a child.
I don't think it's okay if you're laying down getting pregnant every weekend.
Yeah,
okay, you're being irresponsible.
Yeah. So birth control that shit. Come on. But in instances like that, like I said, you know, your body, your choice, do what you want, but come on, bro. If you're like on abortion number 11, hire tube some shit. Yeah. But yeah, no, but my daughter, she's 6 now. She's thriving. She's sassy as could be. My niece and nephew my niece is 12, my nephew's 10. I've had a hand in practically raising them since birth. My niece was delivered by emergency cesarean. Cord was around the neck, over the head. She was trapped in birth canal. So it was very traumatic for my ex-sister-in-law. So I was just basically, she pumped breast milk and stayed in her room. I did everything for my niece. I fed her. I quit my job to take care of that damn baby. And shit with my nephew. And this is my babies. And any one of my friends will sit there and tell you, Brandon, yes, they're my brother and my ex-sister-in-law's kids. But anytime we'd be hanging out, going to a birthday party, you bringing your kids? Yes, I am bringing my children. I am bringing my heathens. They will be in tow. So yeah, so and all the time they call me, I'm Aunt Gaga. But yeah, I'm Gaga. Yeah, don't ask me where it came from. I really got. I got no idea. Just one day, Gaga. Maybe. I mean, I guess it fits. Yeah, and then on occasion, like there was times where I would have them for months on end and stuff, because both of them would be going through stuff. They would start calling me mommy, and I'd be like, "No, I'm Gaga." People stop you and say, "So beautiful. Thanks, they're my niece and nephew." But it just got to the point where I stopped correcting everybody. I'm just like, "Yep, thanks." Been dealing with it over a decade.
Definitely, I'm definitely. I'll tell you some stuff after.
Yeah, that's fine.
After this, but what's life like for you now, Jessika? Today, I mean, how you doing?
Depends, honestly. Like some days are better than others. Like today, I actually there's a place called the Park at Grace. It's some church over in Goshen by the soon to be old middle school. It's gonna be an intermediate. There's a church there that has a giant indoor play place. I actually took my daughter there today. Oh. Yeah, and it's free.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
You're gonna need that direction.
Hey, I'm telling you what, man. You look it up, and you're gonna be like, wow. But yeah. So there are days where are a lot better than others. Like today, I was having a good day. So pain-wise, it was kind of on a scale of 1 to 10, about a 3 or 4. So I actually made it a point to get up out of bed, got dressed, got my daughter together, I said, hey, mommy's gonna take you to a surprise. And she was like, what? Surprise? I'm like, I didn't even know. So we went there and she was just like, oh, like just wigging out. One of her classmates actually so happened to be there, and then the little boy that she went to preschool with so happened to be there as well. So she had kids to play with, and for 3 hours she was gone, man. I was like,
Definitely doing that. Yeah.
yeah, believe me, thank God for it. Like we're gonna be open again tonight from 5:30 to 7:30, something like that. Yeah. So it's
I can check that out online, right?
yeah, I can send you a link for it. Yeah. Yeah,
I need a new place for my granddaughter.
but so yeah, so then there's that, and then and then there's days where I can't do anything. I'm in such bad pain, mentally going through stuff that there's just like I shut down. I won't do anything. Like there's like my boyfriend, God bless his heart, when my grandma passed away, I got her sewing machine. And I loved sewing. I had not much babysitter for 8 years. So I grew up knowing how to sew, bake, all that stuff. Pretty much the passion for all that's gone. That sewing machine's collecting dust. I've sold off most of my bakeware that I've been literally collecting since middle school because my mom's mom used to find it at estate sales, garage sales. She would find me all these cake pans, molds, everything, name it. And then finally, after almost 20 years of baking, I got a KitchenAid stand mixer 2 years ago, and I don't. It just sits in the basement now. It's just the having the mental and the physical impairments and disabilities and stuff like that. A lot of people just don't understand. I think from like somebody who's like healthy. Why do the stuff you used to do anymore? It's like, dude, you know how much energy to do it. And it's like, and then the days I do have a good pain day, I don't want to be spent cooped up in the house sewing. Or, I want to get out and actually do shit with my daughter because I grew up with a mom who was disabled. She had severe rheumatoid arthritis like I do. She had to have both her knees and hips replaced, her left wrist fused, and so I remember growing up begging my mom, can we please go to the fair? Can we go to the Middlebury freaking carnival, the summer festival that they had. And a lot of times as kids, we were just out rolling on our bikes because I never knew how exhausted my mom would be from standing on her feet 8, 10, 12 hours a day with severe RA and come home and all she wants to do is just relax. She's in so much pain. I now know what my mom went through. So like I kind of get her yelling at me and snapping off on me and my brother when we were younger. Like I get it because she wasn't doing it, I think, necessarily out of anger. She was doing it out of pain. It's kind of like when you find a wounded animal. Yeah. You try to take care of it. And what does it do? It tries to bite you and everything. I get it now. The same shit because there was times when my daughter, Mommy, we play movie theater on like Aurora. Just give me a minute, and I feel so freaking bad because I was like, I don't want the same shit to happen to my daughter that happened. So like I try, even if I'm in complete agony, I will go play with my kid. Yeah. My boyfriend, same exact thing. We will play with her daughter. Like we played movie theater last night. She drew us up tickets and she made money, and then he stopped on his way home from work and buy us like the box candies. So we had to buy it, and then we sat and watched Wally and ate dinner, And so, we try and do stuff like that and everything because we never wanted to be an only child. Medically wasn't in the cards. It is what it is. I've always wanted to foster kids and adopt. Lord knows, I know they've got so many around here, but at the same time, my niece wants to come live with me. She just turned 12. She's like, I don't want to live at home anymore. I want to go live with you and everything. It's not like she gets away with shit at my house. I think she just finds honestly comfort in living with me. And she's told me, she's like, oh, I've talked to Dad about it. And I was like, well, I mean, it's your dad really don't care. It's your mom's the issue. You know what I mean? It's, I'm not going to rip anyone's child from them. But I was like, at the same time, if she wants to come live with me, I mean, she can say as long as she wants. She's my niece. She'll always be well taken care of. And, and she was, like I said, she was molested for 8 months by her mom's cousin.
Oh my
and
God.
and I still don't understand how a house of 4 other adults and 5 other children didn't realize anything was going on with you when you got 3 girls sleeping in the same room. One of them's 3 weeks older than your own niece, and they don't notice. But he got 14 years, is what it is. But it just, like I said, it's bothered me ever since. And I just think, honestly, for her, it's a trust thing. And so she knows she feels safe in our house.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't ever want to bash my ex-sister-in-law or, my brother. I love them both dearly. Like, I'm still really super tight with my ex-sister-in-law and everything. And like I said, because and I don't know if she tolerates me. She does. If she doesn't, she doesn't. Oh well. But I think she knows that if anything was to happen, she knows that the kids would be safe with me.
Yeah.
And my boyfriend, so they would have a safe place
like
to
a
go.
responsible person.
Yeah, I try to be, and like
You sound pretty responsible.
yeah, I've never done drugs. I haven't drank alcohol since I was 30 because obviously I have cardiac issues. So, and I was never a big drinker before then either.
Yeah.
So all my friends always were like, "Oh yeah, Jessica's so straight edge." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm not, dude. I just don't participate." Yeah, I was like, I always told people that. I'm like, dude, you can have fun and not be drunk or high. I mean, you don't need that shit to. Exactly. So.
What's your relationship with your parents like now? Are you guys close? You talk to your mom?
There was about a solid a year and a half I cut off communication with my parents. Last April, my dad showed up to my house. He is mentally unstable, but he's also showing signs of dementia, like senile, because my grandma, my great grandma, his mom and his grandmother had dementia and Alzheimer's real bad. So he's getting the real, and he's an alcoholic. So he's getting the real violent dementia type stuff going on. And he just showed up to my house last April with a gun. Because I did not sew patches onto his biker vest jacket to give him in time to go to like this little former motorcycle club's annual get together, and was basically threatening to unalive me, unalive my boyfriend. Yeah, he's always pulled out a gun. I'm gonna shoot and kill your mom. I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna light the house on fire. I'm gonna kill the dogs. And my whole life I've grown up hearing him wanting to talk about committing suicide. And then my brother follows the same suit, and and all this other shit. And my mom, she's had 13 strokes and 5 heart attacks. It'll be 10 years this October. And so after initially the dust settled from that, I remember my mom asking, because I don't believe in God, I'm not religious at all, but I remember my mom asking me, why is God punching me like this? I was like, maybe it's because it's karma for the shit you fucking did to me and my brother when we were little. I'm sorry. I mean, you beat the brakes off my brother with a pair of shin guards because you couldn't fucking find him in 5 minutes. Like, who the fuck does that? Again, part of my language, you forced me on a diet for a year and a half, my body starts eating itself. You told me I was super fat when I was 6'1" in high school. I weighed 172 pounds. I did weightlifting. I did all these sports and everything. I was. My nickname for my friends was literally lumberjack. Like if you saw photos of me, I am thick, but I am. I'm not like I am now. You know what I mean? Like there was one time I found this really cute, what was it, like a DC swim top from, and I got it from Packside. And I was like, I got board shorts to go with it. Or it was Ocean Pacific. That's what it was. So it was the Ocean Pacific board shorts, because I'm very much a tomboy. I don't like bikini bottom type shit. And then I found that really cute halter top piece. And I was a lot smaller chested back then than I am now.
Yeah.
And I remember walking out with my friend, and my mom looks at me and goes, "You look like a fucking whore. You're too fucking fat for that. You need to go fuck in there and take that off, you fat fucking bitch." All the time. And then all the time. I was 100, now I'm like 290. And all the time she would call me, I was fat. She wouldn't pay for my prom dress junior year unless I was a single digit size or I had a date. I had neither because I had very broad shoulders. I was a size 12. At the waist, I was an 8 or a 10, but my shoulders, I had to wear a 12. Yeah. And so my mom's like, you didn't lose enough weight, nor do you have a date. I'm not paying for your prom dress. So my dad had to sneak me the money behind her back so I could go down to Heritage Wedding House there in Middlebury and buy the damn dress I wanted. And she got so fucking mad at my dad for that. And and then senior year, I got my dress for free at that Princess Fair night that they used to host over at the College Football Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my prom dress for free that year. Because again, she wasn't gonna pay for it. She told me tough shit because I was too fucking fat. Yeah, thanks a lot, Dinah. But she just and I always knew, and my boyfriend knew all of the shit she always did inside of me, and obviously with all of her strokes, she has traumatic brain injury, and that's not an excuse for it. But there was, when my daughter was like, I don't know, 18, 20 months old, she was in a feeding frenzy as most toddlers are. And she got she's like, and I remember I grabbed my mom by her face. I was like, you ever fucking call my daughter fat again? I swear to God, I will break your fucking jaw off. I was like, I don't give a shit if you're fucking crippled, you're stroked out. You could do that to me to the end of your dying last breath, but you ever say that shit to your fucking granddaughter? I was like, I swear to God, because she did that shit to my niece. And before CC's Pizza closed, my niece was like 4 or 5, maybe 6. She saw a woman that was probably 400 or 500 pounds walk past us, and my niece just like, pushes her plate away. And I was like, what are you doing? I'm not hungry. Why aren't you hungry? She hadn't even ate anything yet, and she had a plate full of veggies, fresh veggies, and she just kind of like looks over her corner. It's a relatively large lady. She's like, I just want to be fat like my mom says I'm gonna be.
Aww.
Like, who the fuck does that to their own grandchildren? Like I get it, you did it to me. And everything.
She's already installing like
self-esteem
problems for her,
Yup. And then obviously the sexual abuse happened after that and everything. And so, my niece hasn't had it easy, and I don't understand. Like, I get it, your mother was terrible to you, but why the fuck would you inflict that same pain on your own child and then your grandchildren? I'll never understand it. It's like someone's got to break the cycle. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I tell my daughter.
She's used to it.
Yep. I tell my daughter every damn day. I would tell my niece that. I tell my nephew that. I'm like, you guys are so beautiful.
Yeah.
You guys are so beautiful. You're my beautiful babies. I was like, and I told my niece, I was like, and if anyone says that otherwise, I will show up to that fucking school. I was like, I swear to God, them and their freaking mom and their dad and their grandma and their grandpa, everybody. So, like, seriously, man. And it's like, and like I said, I'm not a violent person, I'm really not. But I'm one of those people that, because I was so tall and like muscular in high school, my friends were all real short.
So you're a bit intimidating.
Yes. Everybody was like, Stanley's my friend. And I'm like, shit, you get no fight, you're fucking fighting that shit yourself. I'm gonna be a spectator. I'm gonna be sitting there popping some popcorn like, hey man, that's a view from down there, dude. No.
Like, be their bodyguard.
She was epileptic and she was talking shit about one of my friends. I was like, dude, if I were you, I'd keep your mouth shut, because she will not fuck around. She don't care if a guy has epilepsy, dude. And she found out she was talking shit about her, and we got back from the cruise center, and sure enough, one of my friends were like, what? So-and-so's bouncing so-and-so's head off the wall over the raptor's office. I was like, what? I get down there. She got her just wrapped her head on that, and she did. She had a grand mal seizure because of it. She was in the hospital for 2.5 weeks.
Goodness.
And I remember she came to right for the ambulance, and I remember telling her, I'm like, dude, you couldn't shut your fucking mouth. And I remember saying that to her, and she was just like, you're supposed to watch out for me. Dude, that is your own fight. I am not. I got 3 days on the inside. Because they said supposedly I instigated it, and I'm like, dude, listen, the cafeteria eating like the other side of the school. Like, I was like, whatever. I guess it's because somebody overheard me telling her on the school bus on the way to cruise her, hey man, I would keep your mouth shut if I were you, because so supposedly they think that I'm the one who told her when I didn't even say anything. I was just like, I mean, it is what it is.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Crazy times in high school.
Yeah.
Jessika, I really appreciate you giving me your story.
Yeah.
I think you're an incredible person, and I would never judge you because I got my own fucked up shit too.
I get judged on the daily. I got judged actually today at that damn park earlier. I had some lady ask me, and I'm like, look at her. I was like, what makes you think that? And I was like, oh, this is just a clothing brand, dude. If you think this is bad, you should see the other shit I got. It says literally enemy of God on it. But it's on Frankenstein's forehead. So if you actually read Mary Shelley Frankenstein, she calls the doctor an enemy of God because of the monster he created.
So you get judged a lot.
So a lot of people, it's like literally a quote from the book, and people are like, "She," and I'm just like,
Good.
I mean, all right, bye. I didn't want you to hear me anyways. You and your church of cultists.
You're amazing.
I try to be.
One more thing before we close out, people. I did, just in case you're interested in seeing the episode of Snapped about Hannah and the other two guys that were involved in Barb's murder. It says it's season 25, episode 12, but you were on another episode as well, or was it the same one?
Oh, I thought it was episode 13. I knew I was
looked
on.
it up.
Okay, it was episode 12. Yeah.
I didn't know if they made another one and you were on another one, or
No,
okay.
yeah.
So season 25, episode 12 on Snapped to watch the story about what happened here locally. And until the next time, take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.